All right, Moni, who is next?
All right. Up next is Khaki. I'm pulling him in now.
Oh, it's the Russian. Hey, you Russian bastard, how you doing?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro. Oh, that accent. As soon as it came through, that accent's just like, oh my God, it's Vladimir Putin.
No. I'm just here to collect your PC data while we talk so I can hack your PC.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Anyways.
It's good to hear you again, man.
Yeah, fucking hell. Good to talk to you again, bro. What's your question, man?
Well, it's not in depth like the last question. I just want to ask about Khadgar. Like, he was really relevant in Legion, like defeating the Legion. Then he fucked off in BFA, and he returned in Shadowlands in the end. But he was acting all shady and like, you know what I mean. He was avoiding questions, and I just want to know why. What's your opinion? Like, is he gonna come back? Like, what's his role gonna be going forward in next expansions?
I would say, Cocky. So Khadgar is an interesting character, right? Khadgar was supposed to be the Guardian, yet rejected being the Guardian. However, still maintains to some extent the role of Guardian. Especially since he still calls Karazhan home. And here's where things get really tricky. And this is why Khadgar is probably one of my favorite characters going into Dragonflight, because I do think there's so much that we're going to learn. So, Karazhan is a giant library, for people that don't know. This library contains information that most mortals are not privy to, that we're not allowed to have. This is why no mere mortal, not even Anduin Wrynn, is allowed to walk into Karazhan and just read a book. It's just not allowed. It has wards and protections in place because a lot of the information inside Karazhan is considered to be sacred and sometimes probably even very dangerous. So, yeah, you can't just go in there. Khadgar has obviously access to all of this. Insofar as Khadgar was actually the guy that gave Magni the idea to funnel all of the power out of Sargeras' sword into our weapons. If you guys remember, he gave you a piece of paper at the end of Legion, and you took the paper to Magni, and then Magni told you to basically drain the weapon, right? Gucci Face, how you doing? Thanks for the first one chat. Really appreciate that. So, what did Khadgar read? Because yes, you are correct. Khadgar at the end of Shadowlands, very sus. What did he read? What does Khadgar know about the Shadowlands that we're not supposed to know? Because the way in which Karazhan gets a lot of its information is due to its situation. So Karazhan is slap bang in the middle of two realms. On the one side, it has the Great Beyond, our realm, and on the other, it has the Twisting Nether. The Twisting Nether literally runs through Karazhan. So it is at least speculated on my part that a lot of the information that exists within Karazhan is actually derived from demons within the Twisting Nether. This is where a lot of those books come from. Medivh spent a lot of time in Karazhan speaking with demons and communicating with demons. So a lot of that information comes from sources that we can either trust or maybe we can't trust. It really depends on how we feel about demons and whether or not Khadgar and Medivh would be intelligent enough to figure out they're being lied to. Khadgar coming to the Shadowlands is really, I think, the biggest sign that he read something that we should be worried about. Because, by the way, Khadgar wasn't just in Shadowlands at the end. We saw Khadgar's Raven in Oribos. I don't want to lie, but I think it was in 9.1. The God Rakim, thanks for the follow, dude. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. I think it was in 9.1 where we had a podcast for the patrons, and that's where Apocalypse spoke. Moni, correct me if I'm wrong. It was 9.1, no?
Yeah, it was 9.1.
Yeah, in 9.1, Alpocalypse told us Khadgar is in the Shadowlands. And I remember this was a few months before Balula's video came out about Khadgar potentially being in the Shadowlands. That's when we already knew that Khadgar was in there. So Khadgar was in there, sort of paying close attention to something, not making himself known, which is already the first sussy bit. I mean, Khadgar is an ally. Most people wouldn't blink twice to see Khadgar there, and yet Khadgar waits right until the end to make himself known, but then also acts incredibly sussy even after he made himself known. I can't answer what that is, though, because I don't know what he read, but I know that whatever he read made him curious enough that he spent the entirety of the expansion flying about Oribos, probably because he knew that no one would pay attention to a lone raven just flying around and sort of sitting on a perch. People would just think, oh, this is a raven that came through the portal, poor guy. And it would probably give him unfettered access to all of the realms so that he could see what these other beings are up to without them actually knowing that he's there. And that should scare the living fuck out of you guys. Me too, but it should scare us. Khadgar knows things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like when we first saw him, it's like he didn't expect us to know that that he's there. Like, oh, you're here. Fuck, I didn't prepare a dialogue to lie to you guys. Like to explain why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, oh, oops. There's definitely something incredibly sus going on there. The question is just to what end? Like, what's the end goal? I can't answer that. I genuinely don't know. The God Rackham, thank you so much. I'd really appreciate you being here. Thanks for the first time chat, man. Gaki, do you have anything to add, or is that your question?
No, that's my question. I just want to add, maybe he knows about the old god you mentioned that's hidden beneath the mall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's speculation on my part. We don't have any evidence to suggest that there is an old god, but I believe that there is an old god that lives inside Torghast. Because it makes sense. That's what Torghast is. At least in my opinion.
Prison inside a prison. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a prison inside a prison. It's a prison that always changes and makes you fucking crazy. Kind of seems like that could be a good place to hide an old god. Because an old god that sees every single truth, the only way that you're going to keep it hidden or keep it locked up is by having a prison that literally changes the whole time. So it doesn't even matter that you see all of the truths, because the prison will change before you can actually execute the truth that you've seen on how to escape it. So, yeah, that's sort of my opinion on it. But, of course, I could be wrong. I have no idea.
I see, yeah. I just have one more quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah, fuck. Go for it, bro.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but do you think that maybe the first ones are the other forces are trying to destroy Azeroth because she's able to make like sentient beings, like flesh beings with blood and everything.
Yeah.
And the other forces, like the first, like the Zereth Mortis, they make robots that obey, like they are literally programmed to obey.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to destroy Azeroth because she can make sentient beings that have free will. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's definitely something that bothers me. It's definitely something that I've been thinking about, is that we don't know if it's Azeroth, because we don't have any evidence that Azeroth physically created anything. We do know that the old gods created the mortals, right? Due to the curse of flesh. And I believe there was actually some mention of the old gods doing it on other planets as well. I can't remember where I read that, but I think I read that, or I may have dreamt that. I don't know. I do sometimes dream of WoW, so it could be that I dreamt that. But I think what's interesting is that the old gods on Azeroth was able to create a curse that creates life. Now, for beings that favor destruction and want to destroy everything, the idea that they would have the ability to create life should immediately bring up question marks in everyone's minds. How? If this being is hell-bent on destruction, why then does it provide us with flesh? And here things get even more troubling, after they cursed according to the Titans, the Titan keepers, or the constructs with the curse of flesh, they did not enslave these newly created flesh beings. In fact, the Titan keepers write that they couldn't keep up with how fast these fleshlings were traveling and sort of trying to escape. So, in other words, the old gods did not curse us so that we would become their instruments. They almost cursed us to provide us freedom. Freedom from the yoke of control that the Titans wield. So that was interesting to me, and I found that to be quite, I guess, troubling or puzzling, I guess is the right word. But yeah, there's definitely something there. It's not so much, I think, that they want to destroy Azeroth. It's that they want to keep her safe. Considering that she is probably the only one, if my speculations are correct at least, Azeroth is the only one that, through her servants, the old gods, can create life. And considering that our entire universe is based on anima, without life there isn't much anima. So they kind of need us in order to create more anima. And that's why Azeroth has been enslaved, is for this endless cycle of anima. But that's just, that's just speculation. I don't have any evidence for that, at least not at the moment. But you can bet your ass I'm going to spend a lot of time in Dragonflight looking for that evidence.
Yeah, I just want to add something. It's not a question. It doesn't make sense because people say that the old gods are creatures of the void. But if they give us free will, like you have mortals that can choose to follow the light or fel or order or anything, that doesn't make sense. If they cursed us, then we should by default follow them and void and like shadow magic. But we have free will to choose any magic we want.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. But this is again why I say the old gods do not seem to enslave us. They seem particularly to just provide freedom. Chaos. They want absolute freedom. Now, the Titans, it makes sense that the Titans would view freedom as chaos, because the Titans do not free anyone. They keep everything locked up. They want control of everything. So it's sort of like this battle between absolute control and absolute freedom. And this might be why the Titans hate the Void Lords or the Old Gods, because they stand for ultimate freedom rather than ultimate control. But then, of course, there's also evidence of the Old Gods actually controlling people's minds and making people crazy. So that throws things a bit out of whack as well. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult to figure out. Very difficult.
Yeah, I see, bro. Thank you for answering. That's pretty much everything from me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the question, bro. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself, bro.